Students, good morning. Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Today we will discuss the power of culture. Well, in the previous class, we were trying to understand regarding high performance culture. And culture plays a very important thing when it comes to organization's success. So culture is the aggregate of beliefs, attitude, values, assumptions, and even the ways of doing things that is shared by members of an organization and even taught to new members also. So whenever the fresher will enter an organization, so he'll be imbibed with the culture of the organization slowly. Okay. So we'll try to understand what is exactly the power of culture. See, culture serves two important functions in organization. When an organization culture fits the needs of its external environment and the strategy, employees usually find it easy to implement the strategy successfully. So culture is normally it is grounded in values, practices, and behavioral norms that match the requirements for good strategy implementation. Helps energize people to do their jobs in an effective and efficient manner. So one of the study describes these requirements as happiness, significance, achievement, and legacy. So basically, what we can understand, a deeply rooted culture that is well matched to strategy is a strong recipe for successful strategy execution. Culture serves two important functions, as I mentioned to you in any organization for that sake. The first one, as you can see in the slide over there, see my cursor, it creates internal unity. So let me explain what exactly is internal unity. And it helps the organization adapt to the external environment. See, when we speak about internal unity, organizational culture defines a normative order that serves as a source of consistent behavior within the organization. A strong culture students, they provides a value system in which to operate, and it promotes strong employee identification with the organization's vision, mission, goals, and strategy. And very important, what we need to understand here is the right culture makes employees feel genuinely better about their jobs, work environment, and the mission of the organization. Employees are self-motivated to take on the challenge of realizing the organization's objectives and to work together as a team. So when we speak about internal unity, culture actually provides a shared understanding about the identity of an organization. See, sometimes we feel that we are working in XYZ organization. We are proud to tell that we are associated with so and so company. Why? Because of the reputation of the organization, which it has gained over the last couple of years or last decade. So because of the culture, what they have in the organization, because it provides a value system in which to operate and it promotes a strong employee, correct? So that is what we mean by internal unity. Then the second important point here is it helps the organization adapt to the external environment. See, when we say that external environment or external adaptation is concerned, culture determines how the organization responds to changes in its external environment. See, when we see an individual, if he's very good in his behavior, he's very disciplined, then the first question, we appreciate him. Wow, the parents have taught a very good culture to this boy or girl. And the same thing, exactly reverse of that, if that boy or girl is not decent, the behavior is not good, then we even tell that what an attitude or what a behavior the parents might have taught, right? In the same manner, the appropriate culture values can ensure that an organization responds quickly to rapidly changing customer needs or the offensive actions of a competitor. For example, if the competitive environment requires a strategy of superior customer service, the organizational culture should encourage such principle as listening to customers, empowering employees to make decisions, and rewarding employees for outstanding customer service deeds. Correct? So culture plays a role in informing and supporting sense making by employees when external changes are severe enough to force members to reevaluate aspects of their organizational identity and purpose. And the appropriate culture type can ensure that an organization responds quickly to rapidly changing customer needs or the offensive actions of a competitor. See, this move to a marketing culture has a strong support from those who maintain that a strong marketing culture leads to customer satisfaction and even retention, which in turn yields higher profitability to the organization. See, very important what we have to understand here is the existing customers should be given better services. So that culture has to be developed in every organization. So, if the existing customer is given better services, obviously what happens? He'll refer more and more people to your organization when it comes to service oriented things. Correct? So, despite the importance of culture to strategy execution, not every organization can boast a strong culture. It is very Herculean task. So, strong cultures are a contributing factor to attaining a competitive advantage. And students, please understand this, a weak culture does the reverse of that. Therefore, understanding the factors that distinguish between a strong and a weak culture is very, very important to all of you. So, we'll try to understand some of the characteristics of the low performance cultures. See, weak cultures, when I say weak cultures, they easily spoil the reputation. They easily, the customers will easily go to other companies because weak cultures are more likely to be associated with low performance because they don't want to retain the people. They do not want to give better services to the customers. So in turn, what happens? Weak cultures are more likely to be associated with low performance. And an organization's culture is weak when there is a little agreement on the values, beliefs, and norms governing member behavior. Correct? So there'll be the commitment level of the individuals, of the employees working over there will not be there. So what happens automatically? The reputation of the companies will come down. See, when we discuss about the characteristics of low performance cultures, see, weak cultures are more likely to be associated with low performance, as I mentioned to you earlier. See, when we speak about insular thinking, the first characteristics of the low performance culture, insular means what? See, in a low performance culture, there is a tendency to avoid looking outside the organization for superior practices and approaches. So sometimes a company's past successes and status as an industry leader may lead to complacency. So people within these organizations believe they have all the answers. And what happens when they believe that they have all the answers? Managerial arrogance and inward thinking often prevents the organization from making the necessary cultural adaptation as external conditions change, thus leading to a decline in the company performance. That is what we mean by insular thinking, which is one of the important characteristics of low performance culture in any organization. They might ask a question like, explain the characteristics of the low performance cultures in the organization. Then we have resistance to change. So this is one of the important characteristics when we speak about low performance culture. That is also a second characteristics of low performance culture, which is one that can plague companies suddenly confronted with the fast changing domestic and global business conditions. We have seen many companies who are very strong from past decade, but completely out of the market within a couple of months. Why? Because of they are very stubborn. They want to they do not want to change as per the scenarios. Say, for example, low performance cultures, they want to maintain the status quo. As a result, avoiding risk and not making mistakes becomes more important to a person's career advancement. See, companies such as Ford, General Motors, and Xerox, they enjoyed considerable success in years past. But when the business environment underwent significant change, they were burdened by a stifling bureaucracy and an inward thinking mentality that rejected the change. And today, if you can see, these companies and many others like them are struggling to reinvent themselves and rediscover what caused them to succeed in the first place. Then we have politicized internal environment. That means an environment that allows influential managers to operate their units autonomously, like personal kingdoms, is more likely to resist needed change. So what happens? In a politically charged culture, many issues or problems get resolved along the lines of power. Correct? So such a culture has low performance because what's best for the organization is secondary to the self-interest of individual players. That means an individual becomes leader over there and the organization's culture will be thrown to the garbage. So that is again one of the important characteristics of low performance culture. Then very important is unhealthy promotion practices. See, a person who is not performing well in the organization, you are seeing him, but in spite of that, he is promoted to the next level because of some support what he has got in the organization. How you feel, though you are a good performer and you have been not promoted and your colleague who is not performing good is promoted. So this again is one of the important characteristics of a low performance culture. That means low performance cultures tend to promote managers into higher leadership position without serious consideration of a match between the job demands and the skills and capabilities of the appointee. So for the purposes of rewarding a hardworking manager or a long-term employee, an organization may promote a manager who is good at managing, day-to-day operations, but it's lacking in strategic leadership skills such as crafting vision, strategies, and capabilities, or inspiring and developing the appropriate culture. So the point what I mentioned to you, the characteristics of low performance culture, I've explained to you. You can see that insular thinking means there is a tendency to avoid looking outside the organization for superior practices. See, whenever we are doing any kind of business in the market, we should learn from our competitors. We should see what exactly is happening in the market outside. So what exactly is the need of my customer? As per that, we have to start delivering the products or services. Today, customers are the kings, right? So one person can influence many people if you provide them good services or good products, right? So that is what we have to understand. Then we'll have characteristics of high performance culture. So these are the companies or the companies who possess these characteristics will stay in the market for a very, very long term. So we'll try to understand what are these high performance cultures. See, strong cultures are more likely to be associated with high performance. Strong corporate cultures improve firm performance by facilitating internal behavior consistency. And very important here is each and every individual, let it be the top level management or the middle level management or the lower level management, whoever is working for the organization or with the organization or to the organization, he'll be given respect equally. So an organization's culture is considered strong and cohesive when it conducts its business according to a clear and explicit set of principles and values. So trust, respect, honesty, responsibility, accountability, integrity, and even high quality relationships among the organizational members characterized high performance cultures. So these culture attributes are firm specific assets that provide value, and because they are hard for competitors to imitate, it helps the firm build and sustain a competitive advantage. It is these type of organizations who imbibe the high performance culture characteristics, what we discussed now, they will stay in the market for a very, very long term. And it is very difficult for the competitors to replicate these characteristics. And they will be always called as high performers in the market because of the strong culture what they have got, deep rooted culture. And what are there? Let me try to explain you. Culture reinforcement tools. See, when we speak about culture reinforcement tools, what we are trying to understand here is the characteristics of high performance culture. The first one, what we are trying to explain, I am explaining you is culture reinforcement tools. See, some of these tools include symbols, stories, language, and policies. High performance cultures pull together these mechanisms to produce extraordinary results with ordinary people. And high performance organizations have ceremonies that highlight dramatic examples of what the company values. In high performance cultures, what happens normally, students, policies on recruitment and selection and training of new employees are different from those in low performing cultures. For example, companies with a strong healthy culture such as 3M or even Southwest Airlines often employ careful and vigorous hiring practices. So intensely people oriented. Organizations with high performance cultures reinforce their concern for individual employees in many, many different ways. They treat each employee as contributor to the organization's growth story, and they make sure that the employees and their contributions will be valued. So treat employees with dignity and respect, which happens in high performance cultures. Then grant employees enough autonomy to excel and contribute. Then give increased responsibility to the best employee. See, sometimes it so happens that when more and more responsibility will be given to us, we feel that we are burdened. Actually, it is not the case. Since your manager or your higher ups will be having a lot of confidence on you, trust on you, and they know that you are potential of doing such things, then only he'll give the increased responsibility. And it's like it's like an appreciation for you. You should never say no to anything in the organization, right? And implement mentor programs. Hold managers at every level responsible for the growth and development of the people who report to them. And encourage employees to use their own initiative and creativity in performing their jobs. So what we are understanding now, we are studying the characteristics of high performance culture, right? Celebrate employee achievements, because they feel that if the employee is rewarded properly, then automatically it will motivate him. He will work better in the organization, and ultimately the profitability of the organization will also increase. So an organization that treats its employees this way will generally benefit from increased teamwork, higher morale, and increased level of job satisfaction, greater employee loyalty, and higher retention rates. Correct? See, sometimes what happens is organizations should always think from the long-term point of view. And first thing what I observe is the organizations which are successful today, they always ensure that the employees are happy, because they feel that if the employees are happy, automatically they keep everybody happy in the organization. So many of the reputed companies today, so they identify the employees who are actually who have successfully completed the projects within the deadline. They give promotions, they give bonuses, they give employee stock option plans, they give shares. Why? Because the only thing is, this is the organization culture, the strong organization culture. They want to retain the person, an individual who is actually contributing to the growth of the organization, who believes that if the organization grows, it is my growth. Okay. So result oriented, the high performance culture invests more time and resources to ensure that employees who excel or achieve performance targets are identified and a suitable reward will be provided to him within the employee demands or he asks. Then emphasis on achievement and excellence, that's very important. Now high performance cultures, they create an atmosphere in which there is a constructive pressure to be the best. And achieving excellence requires a corporate culture that holds excellence above all the pursues processes that bring about persistent per unit cost reductions, zero defects, improved product quality, and extraordinary customer service. See, when we speak about keeping employees happy, it is not just paying whatever he demands. It is not that case. See, you should motivate him. You should appreciate for the work what he has done. You should make sure that the employees are happy in your organization. So that is how we can build a strong culture in the organization. So we'll understand what are the leadership actions for shaping the culture. That is, leaders as a culture creators. See, changing a company's culture and aligning it with the strategy are among the most important challenging responsibilities of leadership. Please understand this. To build and maintain a strong leadership culture, senior managers must have a clearly defined vision, mission, and cultural statements that define the way things will be done. Correct? Senior executives are role models, and the stories what they tell to the juniors and the decisions what they take and actions they take build an implicit cultural image of what effective leadership means. Correct? So, in the process of culture creation, sustenance and renewal, it is easy to see how the past is often used as an indicator of things to come. So, to create a strong, high performance cultures, leaders can initiate many different types of organizational processes. Examples of organizational processes that have been studied, as tools to embed and reinforce strong, high performance cultures include the strategy formulation process. So leaders even sometimes they serve as a role models. See, when we speak about symbolic actions, leaders serving as role models, and leaders celebrate the achievements. Leaders will be personally coming. They meet all the employees of the organization. They motivate them. They celebrate the achievements of all the employees. Then, very very important, students, the promoter's skin should be there. See, when I say promoter skin, what is mean by promoters? The person who has actually invested in the organization, who is sitting at the top level position of the organization, he should actually interact face to face with all the people, and if not in one day, it can be spread over several days, and he should interact with them. The people or the individuals or the employees of working in the organization should feel that, okay, he is my leader. He's so simple uh, and open to everything. Openness should be there among the leaders. And matching organizational structure to culture, that is very important. You need to match the organizational structure to the culture. Then substantive actions includes matching HR practices to culture. See, when I say matching HR practices, that's very very tricky here. So what do you mean by HR practices to culture? Organization structure can symbolize culture. So a decentralized structure reflects a belief in individual initiative and shared responsibility. So matching operating policies and even practices to culture. Then replacing old culture members with new members and creating a strategy culture fit. And facilities design, developing a written value statement. See, when we speak about creating a strategy culture fit here, this point, see my cursor. See, it is the leader's responsibility to select a strategy that is compatible with the prevailing culture, or to change the culture to fit the chosen strategy. The lack of a fit with the will hinder or constrain strategy execution. So, with mergers and acquisition students dominating global business strategy, the integration of corporate culture is often the deciding factor in whether a newly merged entity succeeds or fails. See, senior leaders, students can improve the likelihood of a merger success by ensuring that the two organizations' culture are in sync, or that an attempt is made to develop a common culture that the two sides agree with. Then developing a written value statement. That means many leaders today set forth their organization's values and codes of ethics in written documents. Why? Because written statements, they have the advantage of explicitly stating the company's position on ethical and moral issues. And they even serve as benchmarks for judging both company policies and actions and individual conduct. Correct. Value statements serve as a building block in the task of culture creation and maintenance, as evident in the opening, thing. So these are our symbolic actions and substantive actions of a leader for what? For shaping the culture. When strategic leadership is concerned, a strategic leadership is a person's ability to anticipate, envision, maintain flexibility, think strategically, and work with others to initiate changes that will create a viable future for the organization. See, a strategic leader is one who will not think about the present, who will think about the next 10 years, and he will start working on the project for the next 10 years, because this 10 years already the project is there in his hands. So he's not worried about that. He is worried about the future projects, and the flexibility and the adaptability is concerned. So in a period of change and uncertainty, cooperative culture is seen by leaders as the key to superior performance. So it is a process of providing the direction and inspiration necessary to create and implement a firm's vision, mission, and strategies to achieve organizational objectives. See, who knew that Geo will kill all others' business? So we never thought that BSNL will vanish so early, or BSNL might lose a major market share in the market. Right. See, technology upgradation, change. The companies should go for adaptability. They should understand the new needs of the people or individual across. So, strategic leadership is a person's ability. The person who is actually sitting at the top is the person's ability to anticipate, envision, and even maintain flexibility, think strategically, and work with others to initiate changes that will obviously create a viable future for the organization. And even student strategic leadership must involve managers at the top, middle, and lower levels of the organization, because ultimately what happens, for example, if they're manufacturing a product and the person majorly involved is in the low level management, if they do not involve that particular individual, then what happens? Your entire planning will be a failure, because he'll be knowing that from where the raw material was procured all these days, and what was the pricing of that, what is the quality of that, right? Everything that person will be knowing. So, a strategic leadership is one which involves all the level of the management. It can be top, middle, and the lower level of the organization. However, of these three managerial classification, the strategists, or whom we call the top level managers, are very clearly they held responsible for the organization's near-term performance, as well as for creating conditions that will ensure the organization's future survival. And we will try to understand some of the effective strategic leader skills. See, a strategic leader is a very, very challenging task. What a leader should be, or what he should be possess, anticipating and forecasting events in the external environment that have the potential to impact business performance. See, we have to understand what is there in customers' mind. Then, as per that, I need to innovate my product. I need to manufacture my product. Otherwise, what happens? It will directly go to dustbin, or nobody will turn to your organization, or you will be somewhere out of the market. And finding a sustaining competitive advantage by building core competencies and selecting the right markets in which to compete. That's very, very interesting and important. And evaluating the strategy implementation and results systematically and making strategic adjustments and building a very highly effective, efficient, and motivated. This is, see, students, if you do not have a proper team with you, so you cannot build anything out of that. So always we say that the team should be motivated, or we say high flyers, or if the team is ready to learn, change, adapt, then beautiful products can come out from that. And selecting, developing, and mentoring a talented team of leaders, deciding on appropriate goals and priorities for achieving them, and being a very effective communicator. And very important is you should treat everyone very, very equal. So this ends Unit 5, which was a very, very big unit, students. The last topic what we discussed was effective strategic leader skills. And when we speak about adaptive culture here, whenever you join the organization, I think practically you will try to understand what is this adaptive culture. Adaptive culture represents a leadership belief in active monitoring of the external environment for emerging opportunities and threats. So this culture is made up of policies, procedures, and practices that support employees' ability to respond quickly to what? To changing environmental conditions. As the name only suggests, in adaptive cultures, members are encouraged to take risk, correct, experiment, and innovate. And management thinking is based on the belief that organizational success is influenced more by events outside the organization than by the internal factors. And a lot of examples are there with you. Adaptive culture is generally known for its flexibility and innovativeness. And the leaders of adaptive cultures are skilled at changing the right things in the right ways, not changing for the sake of change and not for compromising core values or principles. See, a small example I want to give you. When 3M's company's former CEO, James McNursery Jr., came on board, he was imbued with the G's taut dynamic culture, which contrasted with the 3M's emphasis on being nice to one another. So, what he did, he instinctively realized to get the conglomerate 75,000 employees to implement his strategies. So, he had to learn to work with the culture. He resisted barking orders and tried to win the hearts and minds of employees who are working in the organization. And his objective was to boost 3M's growth through cost cutting, but preserve the company's hallmark of creativity. And today, a company like 3M, where experimentation and risk taking are a way of life, is a perfect example of adaptive culture at work. Okay, students, I hope all of you have understood the concepts what we have discussed in today's session. In my next class, I'll be taking Unit 6. So thank you so much for your patience listening to all of you. Have a fantastic day ahead.
Thank you, sir.